Welcome to the Diplomats. This is Shakir Din Shahin. Today we are going to talk about Turkish-Mexican relations with His Excellency Ambassador Jaime Garcia Amaral. Mr. Amaral, welcome to the Diplomats.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be with you today.
Thank you. Let's start with talking about the history of the relations between the two countries. How the relations between Mexico and Turkey started and how it developed.
Well, you know, we have a long relations with Turkey since the Ottoman Empire. After the Turkish Republic, Mexico was one of the first countries to recognize the Turkish Republic. But to come on the past, and like an anecdote of the Mexican-Ottoman relations, in the 1910 was the centennial of our independence. And it was the beginning, actually, of the revolution, the first social revolution in the world in 1910. And at this moment, the Ottoman Empire gave to Mexico as a present for the centennial a big clock, which is still in downtown Mexico. It was the present of the Ottoman Empire. So the relations are very far, goes so far. But in the new era, if I may say, in 1927 we established relations with the Turkish Republic, and since then we had a very good relation, very good contacts. Our embassy was established physically in Turkey in the 50s, I guess, and since then we are here, and we come to stay here.
What's the degree of, let's say, economic relations between the two countries? What's the volume of trade between Mexico and Turkey, and what can be done to further develop it?
Well, actually, I think it is clear for both parties that our relations in the economic field doesn't correspond to the importance of our countries in the global context. Mexico is the 14th economy of the world. Turkey is the 16th economy in the world. We have a lot of points in common in terms of development of income, infrastructure, and efforts to modernization, to open markets, and so on. So I guess we were until now very busy, you, Turkey, seeing to your neighborhood, especially your first trade partner, European Union, and we were too busy seeing our neighbors from the north. You know, since '94, we signed a free trade agreement, of North American free trade agreement with Canada and the United States, and I think we have been very busy on these areas, and we have not so much time, if I may say, to see new horizons. But now I think the time is coming to see new horizons. We are trying to get ahead on our relations. Our level of trade is very low. Figures never coincide, as you know, from Mexican side and from Turkish side, but we can say that our trade actually is around $600 million, which is nothing for the 14th and the 16th economies in the world.
Mr. Ambassador, which sectors do you think would be interested from Mexico to invest in Turkey, and vice versa? Which sectors from Turkey would be interested, do you think, to invest in Mexico?
I think there are many. There is a relatively new field, the aerospatial industry. In Mexico, it's a growing industry. We are the 9th purveyor of the aerospatial industry in the world. Our clients, obviously, United States and Europe as well. And I know Turkey is having an effort to develop this area. So this could be one. For Mexicans invest in this area, I think agroalimentary would be a good field, and Mexico as well is very important in the automobile industry, mainly to export to the United States and to Canada. I think 4 or 5 of each 10 cars are in the United States sale come from Mexico, that are built in Mexico. So I think opportunities, they are opportunities. So we have to find, and we have to get in contact more the business communities. I think one of the most biggest problems between our countries is the lack of information. We don't know each other. We don't know, you would know very little about Turkey in Mexico. I think it's the same case in here. And our job, my job as a diplomat, is to get a better knowledge of my country and the opportunities to make a business and to invest.
One alternative ways, I mean, one of the best ways, I think, to know better each other is to travel to Mexico and travel back to Turkey. And one of the barriers on this traveling is visas. What has been done on this field?
Yes. Well, let me tell you something first before the visa. I think geographically we are very far. I mean, many hours of flying you have to take to go from one part to another one. Good news is that we have just finished 2 weeks ago the negotiations for an air trafficking agreement. And we hope in the next months, maybe next year, we will have a direct flight from Turkey to Mexico. So this is a good news. And I'm sure that could be a good impulse on the business and on tourism as well. For the visa, it's very important you to know, and everyone who is seeing your program, because we have done a lot of efforts in the recent months or years. I know it was because when I came here, I knew that it was a kind of urban, what do you say, urban history about the Mexico's visas were very difficult. Maybe were in some moment, but now we have improved very much. So to issue a visa, we are asking 5 workable days, which is not very much. And now we have new regulations because our partnership with North America and Europe and other countries in the world, that people having a valid visa for United States, for instance, or Canada, or residence in Schengen space, or this kind of visas valid, they can go to Mexico without any visa. That reduced a lot the request of visa. We have the figures for these last months, and we see in our consulates, honorary consulates in Izmir and Istanbul, in our embassy in Ankara, a reduction of around 30% of the request of visa. So this is a good news. And the other good news is that we are working to go ahead and to put Turkey in a pilot program that we have with other countries to get the authorization to travel to Mexico without any visa necessity. I mean, online you will ask the authorization to get in Mexico, and online you will get the authorization, and with that you will travel to Mexico without the necessity to go to a consulate or to embassy or so. And I hope in the next months we will be able to offer that to our Turkish friends as well.
That sounds great. So it will be easier for Turkish citizens to travel to Mexico, but people's minds in Turkey and in some other parts of the world are very much occupied with the image of Mexico created by American movies. Is Mexico a safe place to travel?
I would say yes, absolutely, it's a safe place to travel. There are some parts of Mexico, but not especially because the American movies, because we are facing a very strong and very decided, war against all the organized crime in Mexico. President Calderon took a very courageous decision some years ago to start a real fighting, which is in a matter which is a very complicated one. So that creates an image of insecurity in some parts of the country. But let me tell you that business continue to grow. Direct investment is continue to come to Mexico. Maybe at the end of this government next year, we will reach $100 billion of direct investments. Now we have $94 billion. Our economy is in a very good shape. Our fundamentals are very good. Our growth, last year we growth in a 5.5 with a very low inflation, with a very low public deficit. I mean, the country is working. and the people can come. Obviously, there are some parts of Mexico who are now being the scenario, I mean, of the fights between the gangs of narco traffics or crime organized. And it's a very, very complicated situation, but I think there is no problem for anyone to come and having a minimum of caution to be there for tourism, for business, or whatever.
What do you think would attract tourists from Turkey in Mexico?
Well, I think as I telling you about the flight, the direct flight, I think that will be a very good thing. We don't have many tourism now going. I think we are around 2,000 or 3,000. It's not too much. More Mexicans are coming to Turkey. The figures are more high, but it is because they come on the famous cruising, on this big cruise for visit Turkey for 1 day or 2 days. So that increased very much the number of Mexicans. But we hope and we are confident, and in the future a more regular transit for tourism and business as well. I forgot to tell you in the visa case that since almost 2 years we are giving a long-term visa for businessmen, from Turkish businessmen, a visa for 10 years, so which is another fact of get things more easy.
What about historical sites or places for vacations for Turkish families?
But you know, Mexico is a very important tourism destiny. We are the 10th country in the world receiving tourism. It's a very important economic activity for us. It's the third source of income of Mexican economy. Hundreds of jobs are related to tourism. And it's a our infrastructure starts since long time ago, 50s, 60s, with mythical places like Acapulco, for instance. But now we have developed a lot of new spaces, and Mexico offers only sun and beach and 3 wonderful seas, Caribbean, Pacific, and Atlantic Ocean, but a lot of cultural heritage and a lot of cultural interest places with pre-Hispanic, I mean, since the ancient Mexican civilizations to the colonial period, beautiful cities, and even in terms of modern structures, very important museums. I think there are a lot of things to see and to do in Mexico.
I see. So it's a place to see. I myself quite interested in going to Mexico.
I hope you will go.
I hope so. What's the cultural presence of Mexico in Turkey? Is there any cultural institutions, or are there any cultural programs, educational programs between Mexico and Turkey?
Well, unfortunately we don't have a physical space, I mean, for permanent activities and culture, but we try to have a presence in the cultural life in Turkey. Mexico has always considered culture as part of our foreign policy, a very important one. And because we have a big heritage and a lot of richness in cultural field, we can say Mexico it's a cultural power in the world. It's truth. So we try to be present in Turkey. We participate in different manifestations, the festivals, movie. This year we will participate in the Biennale.